Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to more Trails of Cold Steel. In the last episode, we took care of all of the side quests that I could find for I guess the month of July, at least until we do the like the field study that they're gonna have us do this month. That said, let's jump into what we need to do today, which is to hang out with people. So apparently it's very important that I do that. I guess I'll hang out with what's his name? Juices. I feel like we've done him a couple of times. He's hanging out here with this cup of tea. Wonder what's going on. I guess I should talk with him. Together we sat down to relax. Nothing's more relaxing than a good cup of tea. Kinda surprised you treated me, though. Think nothing of it, consider it an advance payment. What? Oh god. It's a guy with badly textured hair. My favorite. Upper class second years. If you had business, I'd appreciate you making it brief. Want to ask you if you'd be interested in accompanying us to the salon. I have little interest in spending the day being pampered. As you can see, I have a prior arrangement with a friend of mine. Should you have a change of heart, I would love to see you there. Bring your friend. So I see people start inviting you up to the salon again. While I was able to dissuade them for a while, it seems as though they've all steeled themselves for another salvo. I've found the haughtier the noble is, the easier and more satisfying it is to reject them. Finding the words to decline more subdued ones like the ones we just spoke to is much more difficult. So you use me as an excuse to keep them away. That's clever. I don't think those two had any ulterior motives, though. They just looked like they wanted to talk to you. If that were the case, then there would be no reason to invite me to a salon. Inviting you someplace exclusive is probably tied to their noble pride. People probably started inviting you again because you're not as hard to approach. All comes back to you, then. I don't know about that, but more importantly, why don't you take them up on their offer? Salon might be full of snooty people, but I'm sure there will be more students like them who simply want to talk to you. Perhaps, if the motivation strikes, that you'll be accompanying me if I do. Let's go find another one of these. Is this dude available? Forget it. Crow, that's his name. I think he might just be a normal NPC guy today. Yeah, he is. Let me see. Yeah, it's exclamation points on these guys. That's how they differentiate them. Looks like Emma's available. She's in... Looks like they're all in this area? I think she might just be upstairs. Hold on. Let's see. There's this adjoining room. There's the chef. Fuck the chef, though. We ain't got no business with, him. Oh, hello. What's the problem? Oh, Dorothy asked me to proofread this manuscript. Oh no. Their penises on this thing. You want to help out with this? I mean, yeah, I'll do it. I guess, you know, we'll do it. So, this wasn't written by mistake, right? It's a romance novel, but all the characters are guys. Yes. How'd you like it? You know, do they have to paint every girl who's just into the guys fucking always gotta look like that? I feel like I've been introduced to an entirely new world, one that I might not have wanted to know existed. In today's episode, Reen learned what it's like to be gay. He doesn't understand it. He seems scared. It's okay, he'll learn. I'm gonna make him learn. There's so much more. She finally let us get some rest. These aren't the easiest novels for a guy to get through. Yeah. The genre seems to be getting more and more popular. Well, to each their own, I guess, and while I'm always glad to have my horizons broadened, I get it done without some of the more graphic details. You know, I was gonna give him crap. The same way I would give Estelle and Trails in the Sky crap for whenever something got strangely almost, you know, salacious in this way. She was full of hate in her heart. But Reen, he's trying to be understanding, like an upstanding citizen. Like a cultured person. This is the first time I've seen you without your glasses on. I didn't mean to stare at your beautiful eyes like that. You don't need to force yourself through the worst of these. If they get too graphic, I'll take care of them. Then she looks and she's like, oh God, why'd you leave me with the sentence about cum? It's like, oh jeez. This is the worst. I'm worried that if I do every free day pip here and don't go to the thing, I can't do it. Like if I don't do the Schoolhouse thing. But I'm pretty sure that no normal video game would put you in that situation, so I'm pretty sure it's fine. I'm gonna see if there's like free day talk people in the town. There is. Let's talk to teacher, I guess. She's apparently near the dorm? Is that what they're trying to say? It says she's right on like the road to the dormitory. Ah, yes. I'm reading the map wrong. I'm assuming that the square map with all the PNGs of the characters would match up with the map I'm looking at now, but that's never how that works. Let's boogie. What the bitches be boogieing? Of course! I have to find out what she's boogieing about. She's planning on taking all of them on by herself? Oh no, she's going in. Instructor. It's too dangerous to fight this many on your own. I'll help you. I think I got this though. I can't watch it. They're like, having her move her arms on screen would have been too much money. We reached our limit. Wow, you beat them so hard, I almost felt bad. How'd you like that? Willing to admit how awesome and cool your instructor is now? Yeah, but you're barely an instructor at all. So you came out here to train? Yeah, I wander out here every now and then to lay into the wildlife. Gal's gotta stay in shape. Guess I looked pretty dumb rushing in to help. That's not entirely true. I mean, there's like 85 enemies here. Seeing you dashing in all worried about little old me made me smile. Alas, dear Reen, I don't want to break your sweet young heart, but we're teacher and student. It'd never work out. Tragic. How will I ever cope? Anyway, now that you're here, you might as well get in on the fun. Think of it as a special private lesson just for you. Ignoring how staggeringly easy it would be to misinterpret that, sure, I'll join you. In fact, I'd be glad to. And so, Reen joined Instructor Sarah in a wild brawl against monsters. And after he'd spent the last of his stamina, he made his way back to the dorm. Oh yeah, it doesn't fill her meter. So I believe she'll be a party member, or at least like a temp one at some point. I remember in the intro vaguely that I believe she was fighting with us. So, of course, by that point, serious things were happening. It was that Trails of thing where the plot moved, which is, you know, the most of exciting. I'm talking about the overarching plot, you know? We're getting closer to it. I can feel it. They cut away to characters in important places where I'm like, this is exciting. The shit may in fact begin to move. Though to be honest, there are 4 of these fucking Cold Steel games, so maybe they don't move that much. I don't know. Let's move on. We have no free day pips left, so it's time for the old Schoolhouse stuff. What's there to... Those bonding event things are okay, but they kind of feel a little bit weak compared to, like, Persona social link things. Mainly because they kind of... If you don't do them, you kind of just miss them, because you're, like, engaging with a character during their life and stuff, and while that seems more realistic, like, I much preferred engaging with a character throughout a game during my free time on that, like, schedule and seeing them go through a large standing arc. Here it's kind of like 3 paragraphs of text and then boom, you're done. But you know, I can't really blame it, because, you know, a lot of things that I have a lot of things that I would, you know, either complain about, but more so kind of just go, I wish something was a bit more like this. A lot of them come down to none of these games have any money compared to, like, bigger, even AA or even much less AAA RPGs. So it's like, it can't do a lot. That's kind of why. That's kind of why the big basis of these games, like the big thing they have over other RPGs is the writing, I guess. Like, they talk at you more because they can't really afford to do anything else like super extravagant besides bare bones combat, basic questing, and dialogue and writing. That's like their big thing. I guess we'll use Machias. We haven't used him in a bit. Yeah, I guess I'll have you in here. Guess I'll have Fee link with me. I think that's her name, right? Might be thinking of someone else. Yeah, this works. Ah, okay, so, due to the incredibly boring story they're trying to throw at me, I can't group these guys together. That's unfortunate. I'm gonna talk about this for a bit. And, you know, I'm gonna talk about this in the thing coming up, which I don't think anybody can blame me. First of all, I'm not gonna care about what they have to say about the Schoolhouse this time. I just want to get into it a little bit. I wanted to talk about the plot line that they're trying to throw at me. They've been desperately trying to throw at me for, like, multiple episodes here between those 2 characters, and it kind of highlights my issue with some stuff. And I know it's a bit of a hot button issue, I guess. I don't know. In my community Discord, I have a channel specifically for our videos, and I've seen people post walls of text about the thing that I'm about to talk about, which is the thing going on with Laura and what's her name, Fee. And I haven't really read any of it because obviously I haven't seen the conclusion of it, so I just don't really. I go, oh, people are talking about this. Scroll up, though people are kind enough to spoiler tag. People are nice enough to spoiler tag things that I have not hit yet. So I appreciate them being good about that. They're good. Her name is Fee. The thing I find the least appealing of the Trails games is the fact that they feel so hyper similar all the time. But also combining that with the fact that they feel like if they don't follow a robotic routine all the time, they will die. And it's not that I think the games are bad. Like, I give them, you know, they're like a 7 out of 10 type of deal for me. Where it's like peaks and valleys. Like, oh, an overall 7 for me. But there are moments in the games that can be like of a 9 out of 10 type of quality when everything is working together. The music's pumping this amazing track. You're in this really cool fight. The writing and setups and payoffs are going good. But there are plenty of moments in the games where I give it like a 6 or a 5, where I just kind of feel like it becomes a bit monotonous in what you're doing and the story that they are trying to convey to you. And the best example I can bring out from recent stuff is what we're dealing with right now between Fee and Laura, in which the game, I guess, is trying to set up all these characters and their dynamics, and the only way they kind of know to do that is to, every chapter or so, find a reason for characters to not like each other in groups. And once you kind of notice it's doing that, I start getting like bored of what they're doing, which kind of is a bit demotivating. Now, I'm sure not everyone's going to share that stance with me personally, but it's something I noticed. Like, if we could talk about it in terms of stuff like Trails in the Sky. Trails in the Sky first chapter follows a very strict formula throughout. You do a chapter where you're going to a new city. They say hello, do some bullshit quests that are not fun. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna go fucking run across the country to build up my shoe power. I'm gonna go pick up this thing I'm missing or talk to this person and grab this. And you do all of that. You have to do them in front because they make them time sensitive, so you can't like put them off. So if you are interested in something, but you value actually having a good rank in the game based on getting like the BP from doing the quest, you're forced into doing them at a certain time, which already kind of bothers me a decent bit. So we have that. We're gonna kill this moose. You have that on top of, so you go through, start a chapter, new city, talk a little bit, do a bunch of boring quests, start doing the main quest, which at times feels like a side quest, but it has a bit more story precedence. You'll keep going, and eventually you'll get to a point where they give you more side quests, and then you reach some sort of conclusion that'll have a boss fight and something a bit more interesting. It still kind of feels episodic in a way. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't have the largest story significance, but eventually the game's plot starts moving a little bit, but you still, the games still kind of adhere to that quest format. The reason that somehow, despite it having the cooler shit in it, Trails in the Sky SV, the second game, I found to be my least favorite, is because despite it having cooler stuff, it felt even more robotic. Because it had an entire game of setup for the first game that establishes the world, does all these really interesting things with it, and then gives you a very interesting thrust that makes you want to jump from the first game into the second one immediately. And then it starts the first chapter, the first setup part of the game, pretty good. And then it just goes city by city, introducing a villain, doing something against them, but you don't defeat them there. You need to fight them all in the last chapter. So they spend 60 to 70% of the second game setting shit up for payoffs. And the payoffs were enjoyable, but they were not worth making the most of that game. And I'm sure people will disagree with me saying it's boring, but it's genuinely for me, it is that robotic nature that they go about doing it. Where it's every chapter has to start with them getting in an airship and flying toward this area, and you talk to each of your party members once. Then you arrive, then you do side quests, then you do there's nothing that really shakes it up. And the reason that I liked Trails in the Sky the third a lot is because it went against the grain on a lot of that stuff. Granted, it had the format of traveling through this world that had spheres that you were continually progressing through them, and it did obviously had a bunch of like reused assets and stuff, but it felt like I was progressing through this adventure, and the side content I could do at my own pace when I wanted, which none of the other games had that. None of the other games let you do that. You could engage with the doors in the third when you wanted to, and it allowed me to have moments where I want to spend a bunch of time right now just focusing on these doors and unlocking them. And by the end, I did do every single one of those doors and was happy that I could do that. But I was also happy that I could engage with a main plot so often and so regularly, so I could basically get whatever I wanted out of the game, which I feel like went to its benefit. So moving on to this game, we jumped into this one, and it's just the Trails in the Sky format again, but with its own quirks. It has a hub, yes, where you're doing your 3 free time events, you're exploring your school, but this feels the exact same as SC to me, but a more polished video game, because it's coming out like fucking what, like 10 years afterward. I know this game's like what, 2013 or 24. I don't know the exact time this came out, but I know the early Trails games were PSP titles, like around the 2004ish area, wherever. So let me drink something. I'm gonna die. What I'm saying is that this one adheres to the formula in a very strict way as well, despite feeling a bit more modern in some ways. And those modern quality of life things I really appreciate, like marking stuff on the map of where to go, the limited little fast travel-y stuff in certain spots. I think that stuff's good. I think the idea of having the specific bonding moments, I guess, are okay, despite feeling, despite just not being my cup of tea. I can't really say that they're bad. It's just I don't find many of the characters interesting enough to really learn that much about them. Like, there's been a couple that I've been mildly interested in, like Juices. Elisa I've only really cared about in terms of only cared about Elisa in the main plot. I can't say that the one time I did a bonding event counts. Also, can you please ignore any alerts that come on? I forgot to turn off the my alert box that's in another scene. I was like, why the fuck did Xemnas appear in my life? This is what happens when I change my recording setup to my same one I use for streams. It's fine. I'm gonna make a template that specifically doesn't have alerts in it after this episode. God damn it. Completely reset me there. But I do think a few of the bonding events are good. Like, I like the instructor one, but that's just been a general thing where I'm always interested in. It's like when I watch an anime about high schoolers, like a sports anime or some shit, where the more interesting characters to me are the upperclassmen. I feel like the same can be like the instructor, because of course they know more things. I tend to gravitate more toward them. But my issue is this game adheres to a routine even more. Now, you can say, yes, it's a school, so naturally it would be that way. And while I agree, I feel like there had to have been some way to make it just feel a little bit better. The way every chapter kind of just feels the same, where it's, you start some school-related thing. Okay, now you're gonna do a free day where you do 3 bonding events. They kind of feel not that engaging to me, where I'm just like, all right, let's knock them out. Then you go into this dungeon, and then you go through this dungeon. You get that done, and then you do, I think it's like the practical exam, where you fight the robot, or you fight those kids. I'm hoping those constantly change, and I'm not fighting a robot again. You do that, the game will remind you that 2 characters are fighting, because you had Reen and Elisa do it, you had Machias and Juices do it, and now you have this one you have Fia and Laura doing it now. Are you engaged? No, because now you've realized that all the writers are doing in this game is the same thing over and over again. So I just kind of, it doesn't feel natural. It just feels robotic to me entirely. Now, this is made even worse from the fact that I could understand one of the three arguments, or the three conflicts that we've had so far. The first conflict, I would technically want to say, is Elisa and Reen, though it happens very close to the other one, which is the Machias Juices one. I can understand the Machias and Juices one because it is... It makes sense. Like, someone doesn't like nobles and has a problem with those types of people. That's a plot line I can understand, because it's also something they're pushing in this game pretty heavily. Like, the class system, it's something that seems very specific to Erebonia itself, the way the game builds everything out. I can understand that causing strife in general. The Elisa Reen one is so fucking bad. It is not great. It is, I wouldn't say it's so fucking bad, actually. I would just say it's cliched and annoying and took way too long to resolve. But I don't think she's a bad character or anything. And in fact, I think she's one of the better ones. If I was to make like a tier list now, I'd say she's pretty higher on the list. You know, she has some of the, you know, typical anime like embarrassed cliches, and it's like, oh man, I hate co-ed bedrooms, shit like that. But I think her development in the previous episodes was really good. So I would put her higher up there. And I understand the Machias and Juices one. Did not like the one between Reen and her, just because the way it's written, it's like it tricks you into thinking the game's gonna be written the worst it could be. Where they're like, we're tricking you into thinking this is gonna be one of those dumb anime harem fan service games. But I've yet to encounter a single other moment in this game, at least, that is even approaching the level of, oh no, I fell on her titties. But I'm the one who's the problem. But even though he, you know, it's weird that hasn't popped up again. But the Fee and Laura one, which is what started this entire rambling session, is bad for a couple of reasons. One, it's the third time they've done this, so it just has me convinced that the reason this conflict exists is because we've had two conflicts so far. We need these to exist just because we've done it already in the game. And the thing that makes it the worst of all, I don't know why. I don't know why they're fighting. I can infer that maybe Laura has some specific problems with people with Jaegers. I can maybe gather that, I guess. But the fact that there's no communication so I can get a good idea, and the fact that they've apparently been mad for what, like 2 chapters? Or I guess there's been friction for 2 chapters? Fucking terrible. Like, are you... I cannot believe that they were not in the same group as us in the previous chapter so that they could get this done. Like, I don't know why this is the longest standing, like, series of time. I think this might be outlasting the Machias one in terms of how long these characters have had problems with each other. Which, really shocks me, because it's nothing. Like, I have no reason to really connect with any of this stuff at all. They've given me no information, and it's still going on. And it's really funny, because when the last chapter started, I was relieved that I wouldn't have to deal with it. Because I don't. Now that I've seen that it's kind of just... This is gonna sound really stupid. This is gonna sound really stupid, and I apologize. One, Jesus Christ, these guys. Oh my lord. I'm like, I'll cure her of her confusion. The next enemy will now confuse you. You know what? Fucking kill my party. I'll come back in here in a second. Own me, you bastards. Oh, yeah, shit, I didn't say. Fuck it, weaken them. I don't give a shit. This is the fucking this is the filler combat dungeon. As if I give a shit. This is gonna sound really stupid, but when they get to the point where it kind of keeps doing this routine over and over again, of now these two characters are gonna fight because the other people resolved the problem, so we have to have a new one. The stories start feeling so robotic in nature to me that I just don't give a shit. It doesn't feel like a real conflict to me. It just feels like they had to do it because they had to. And I feel like I would feel less about that if we hadn't been waiting like 10 plus episodes for them to explain why they have problems with each other. I feel like I would generally be a bit more welcoming toward how all that's going. And yeah, that's just kind of how I'm feeling. I'm hoping they give me a good explanation as to why those two are fighting, and as soon as possible they can fucking stop, because good lord, am I tired of it. I genuinely hope that they kind of stop this bit of having the characters develop by having two of them not like each other because reasons. I would say because, and then provide a reason, but they've not provided a reason for this new one yet, so why should I? Ah, damn it. Alright, we're just gonna have him die again, and we're gonna weaken him again, because I've completely stopped paying attention to the actual fight, and have focused more on talking this out a bit, which probably isn't a good idea. But I guess to wrap up what I was saying about it, yeah, this game's alright, 7 out of 10. I enjoy the overall core game when it's not trying to write something boring. If I wanted to be hyperbolic about it, I still enjoy the game. I just feel like these conflicts just are so boring to me. So I hope it moves on to some other stuff. Maybe the plot gets a bit more interesting than this. Because whenever there isn't a conflict like this is going on, I'm enjoying it. The last chapter was great because there was no like conflict between characters that felt forced at all. And characters were developing in a way that didn't feel like it needed it, which clearly shows they don't need to do that. I overall enjoyed that, so I hope we get a bit more of that instead. Though I feel like I'm still ultimately going to have a lot of problems with some of the stuff in these games, regardless of anything, because just, a lot of my major issues with these games are that they feel like the exact same game over and over again, with some exceptions, because in the end, I'm not playing a game where you're bracers, but even they have to say, we're doing everything a bracer would do. And they're all formatted the same. But it just happens to be like that. I cannot use physical attacks against these guys. But I do want to say I do not like or try or seek out to be negative about games that I play or I'm engaging with. That's just not like something I'm wanting to ever do. I try not to do that because one, I don't think those make good videos, but I did want to describe it or talk about it a little bit, and it kind of made sense to do it because I saw some of my viewers talking about it. So I thought so. I know there's, I'm not trying to be out here and trying to upset fans of this series or of the series of games or anything. But that's not my approach. I just think there's some parts of this game that just are so wholly unappealing to me, while there's a bunch of stuff that is very appealing to me. I think I'll just have you S break after you get Grand Press to go off. We can just barely get that to work. Let's, yeah, heal her up. That clears that one out. Then you. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, I just wanted to say I tried. Yeah, I tend to not want to be overly negative and stuff. There have been plenty of videos in the past where I've redone episodes and not even made mention of it. That I've just redone episodes because I feel like the things I've said were a little bit too abrasive for the game or a little bit too critical, because I tend to not to want to do that, but there's kind of an intoxicating level of things that I really want to break down. Specifically with what these games do. Why the fuck you already got turn again? You already had your turn. I'm canceling you. You've been canceled. That's it. Sorry, pool's closed, motherfucker. Go away. I think we're fucked. I don't have any revives anymore. Like, I had like one. I mean, we could do the smart thing and heal each other. She's gonna die. No, because she's the best there is. We will become a team. We will become an expert fucking unit. Nothing can stop us. Except if we both get confused and start killing each other. But that has nothing to do with anything. Rush it. Rush it on an enemy that takes nothing from any of those hits. I live to please. Yeah, this shit's gonna take a moment. It's gonna take a good minute here. I love my great follow-up. Oh, good, you keep going and doing a lot there. Sedative is confused. Okay, I was double checking. I don't want to end up looking like a fool. Heal up. Dance. Alright, that should have finished off pretty much everything, right? I think this floor is pretty much done. Looking more and more like the hypothesis I came up with is right on the money. We're being tested. We don't have enough information to make a guess, but if we keep pushing, we'll find something that... But I think this was an important video to put out. This is an important episode to have this subject be approached, of me like talking about my feelings on it. Because usually, if I find something annoying, or there's something I have a problem with, like story-wise, or in what a game's doing, I'll say like, oh, I hate this, or I'll say something very short. And that doesn't give you the perspective of where I'm coming from and why I feel the way I do. So I think it was important that I at least talk about it a little bit. So you actually get where I'm coming from with it, from what place I'm going in, which is mainly that the game feels robotic in that it has a strict routine it follows with no spontaneity. That's why the end of these games, I'm enjoying it the most, because that spontaneity starts rearing its head. It's why the start of chapters also get me excited, because then you start seeing different characters in different locations and stuff. But in the first chunk where the game's kind of spinning its wheels, that's going to be the point that I'm a bit more harsh toward it. That's a big door. Is this the spontaneity I was looking for? Wonder if the appearance of this door is what caused the tremor. Maybe it'll give us a clue that'll lead some answers about this place. Reen and the others began investigating the mysterious red door. Though they searched the surrounding area thoroughly, they could find no sign of a keyhole or any other unlocking mechanism. As a last resort, they tried brute force, but nothing. Yep, nothing. No good, the thing's not gonna budge. All those shots and I can't even see a mark. Doesn't look like my orbital staff or arts are gonna have any effect either. Well, it's gotta be made of some material we've never even heard of before. That even military-grade explosives would do much. Safe to say that breaking through is off the table. You can hear the sounds of cogs and springs coming from it. Maybe that's something on the other side. Oh man. Reveal. Nothing. It was my JRPG Pro Tag thing going off. It's pretty weird, dude. I have no idea what's going on. That has me excited. I have no idea what the hell Reen's deal is besides being, a little self-inserty. I guess we should report back. But anyway, I'm glad I got that off my chest. Let's return to the surface. Once that conflict between those two characters, rears its head again, I doubt I'll be too harsh to it. You know what? Here's our rule chat. Even though you're not a chat at all. Like, I'm not even streaming. I don't know why I called you chat. Here's my rule, audience, that I will follow. I will support this argument between these two characters and letting them heal and letting them be cooler people and growing together. But anytime the scene ends and Laura has not explained why she has a conflict, I'm gonna call the game bad. Now, you may say that's a little harsh, KZ. That seems a little unfair. I'm like, I would not institute this rule if their conflict hadn't started to begin 2 chapters ago. I'm sorry, but this is like taking a game at Blockbuster or a film. People probably don't even know what a Blockbuster is anymore. It's like renting a thing at Blockbuster and not returning it after like a week. It's been like 3 weeks since they rented out fucking Happy Gilmore. They're taking these fucking late fees. These late fees are in me shitting on them until they fucking return it. Returning it in this case would be explaining why people don't like each other. And communicating like human beings. I'm gonna need it. I'm gonna need it for them at the earliest of conveniences. We have 1 additional bonding point, so I think we'll go to Laura and do hers. Because I'm all about advancing her. Maybe teaching her to speak. That would be neat. That was impressive. You swung a sword. Oh. I saw you practicing, so I thought I'd watch. Didn't want to break your concentration. Very kind. There's no need to lie. You're a skilled enough swordsman to have seen the uncertainty in my every swing. I guess that was out of line. I understand you desire to protect my feelings, but I still have a way to go. I was hoping that practice would clear my mind, but unfortunately that was not the case. Guessing that has something to do with her. She told me that as Fee's elder, I shouldn't let my emotions get to me. Perfectly reasonable. I find myself failing to do so. This means I'm more hot-headed. I'm not going to pretend I understand what's going along with you. I'm not going to pretend that because they've made no effort to try and explain it to me. But I don't think there's any need to force yourself to be any more of an adult than you are. For one thing, we're not adults, we're students. We're here to learn how to be those adults. Like swordsmanship and shit. That's why I don't think you should try to will yourself into adulthood. Though, if you want to, will yourself into adulthood and explain why you have problems. If you ever need to clear your mind, just give me a call. Okay, this one's extra weird to me because it's like, this one is directly in response to the main plot. So I have this question of the main plot thing of them being like not friends has to be resolved in the game, but you can kind of like engage with this too. So does that influence it? But then it can't influence it because this is the side thing. So I have to really question what's going on there. However, I did make a specific rule, ladies and gentlemen, that, you know, if this conflict arises and she doesn't explain it, so I have to, by our audio contract, proclaim this game's shitty. You know, I did not expect that. I thought it was gonna be like, look at me, I use swords, I'm trying to be a better... It was kind of just like that. But then she transitioned to saying, yeah, you know, I'm having some problems with this conflict that I will not explain because, which is weird, because you would think the Trails of series, the series in which their scripts are 4 times longer than they need to be, would do a decent job at actually explaining things. But who am I? Who am I to question something like that? They'll make you wait those 40 episodes to find out, and you'll like it. How did we get back here? Fucking, I accidentally fell into the hole of complaining about it again. But is it my problem, or is it the problem that the game should explain it? I'll leave it to you, audience. Remember, anyone who disagrees with me is clearly wrong. I like to point out that I'm joking because some people can't read me. I'm sorry. That's it. I'm done. I'm gonna be nice next episode because fucking doing multiple episodes where I do this would be mean. I'm gonna be optimistic about the future until I'm not. See you next time. Thanks for watching. These videos would not be possible if not for the generous support of my patrons over on Patreon. You're seeing their names go across the screen right now. But beyond them, I also want to give special shout outs to my higher tiered supporters, and I'm gonna do so now. First up, we have the Wayfinder tier, which includes Azure Counselor, Dronic LX, Javier Porksword, Losky 3, Matthew Cassidy, Mr. I Like Bacon, Nucleon, that's my best shot, I'm sorry, and the Dungeon Master. Thank you so much to the Wayfinders, but standing even above them, the most hardcore of my supporters, the organization, includes Colleen Suarez, KC, Lady Popcorn, and WTF Spider-Man. Thank you so much to everyone who chooses to support over at patreon.com/KZXcellent. Consider supporting so that I can continue to do the things. I'm sure there's like stuff on the screen now that's like, look at this, click on that, do stuff. I'm leaving. I gotta go. I don't know how to run this show. Bye-bye.